Baseball season is in full swing, and nothing says I'm a true New Yorker like eating a hot dog and watching a game. Doesn't matter if you're a Yankees fan or a Mets fan, this time of the year, we are one. Coming up, we're going to talk to you about what to look forward to this season, new food at the stadiums, history, and everything in between. We're going to kick things off with our very own Bruce Beck and John Chandler walking us through what's new this season.
Hi, everybody. Bruce Beck and John Chandler talking some baseball. Yes, we are into April, heading to May. And John, is there anything better than talking baseball?
How about winning baseball for a change? And from where we were last year to this year, we actually have two teams that are looking the way they were supposed to look last year. I mean, you remember all the fanfare coming in. Yankees and Mets, the Subway Series talking 2023, and we know that didn't work.
Mets lost the first 5, and we were all saying, here we go. This could be a dreadful season. But they really have found their stride after that.
Which is incredible to think, because they looked terrible to start this season. And I know you talked to Mets fans on opening day, and the whole feeling around the team was, all right, just get us to 2025 and they're going to reset. But now I'm starting to think this could be a team that could compete for a wild card spot.
I think the same thing. I think we're talking about maybe wins in the 80s.
That's
At the
fair.
beginning, it was worse. But winning that series in Atlanta was a little bit of a statement early on.
It was, and then the way they played against the Dodgers for the most part. Look, to go out to LA and do what they did, forget about the Sunday loss 10-0. Like, just throw that one away. They were competitive. They have held their own, and I think, in that 80 range, competing for a wild card spot, as long as, knock on wood somewhere, they stay healthy, and that's the big thing.
I would say Brett Beatty and Luis Severino are the two guys thus far that have been surprises, pleasantly surprised.
And the pressure was really on Brett Beatty, and it still is, to show something, right? The Mets needed to see some development from him, and they've seen some signs. There have been some, in spots, really big hits from Brett Beatty that have helped this offense.
Now, as far as the Yankees go, they roared out of the gate winning their first 5, and believe me, I think that really helped the early season development of this ball club. And we're seeing stuff from Giancarlo Stanton. Is he actually hitting homers again?
I mean, we saw him come in lean, in shape, trying to refocus himself and the way he approaches his health so that he can stay healthy and in the lineup. And I think we're seeing the results of that. Yeah, he can still hit bombs, but for me, it's more of the consistency. You know, he doesn't have to go out and hit a 450-foot tape shot every time. He just has to be in the lineup and produce. So far, so good.
And what I like about Anthony Volpe is he has changed his swing. He is not swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
His average is better. I think that he's just a young kid. He's going to have a heck of a career.
He's so young. He won a Gold Glove as a rookie. And the sky's the limit for him. I really think he is crucial to what this Yankees team can do going forward.
If Aaron Boone could just stay on the bench and get through these games.
And the last one wasn't even his fault. That's the thing. You got a fan, whoever that fan is that's up there yelling at the umpire. Booney can't win.
Let me tell you one thing that still worries me about the Yankees. It has worried me about the postseason the last 4, 5, 6 years. They don't always hit. And they've been shut out 4 times this year. Even with a lineup that's improved, deeper, more balanced. Does that worry you?
Big red flag. When you're getting shut out and you can't put a run on the board by the Oakland A's. You know, you can't lose those games 2-0 to the Oakland A's. You have a supposedly fearsome lineup. But there's, I think, outside of Juan Soto and maybe Anthony Volpe hitting well and seeing some spots from Giancarlo Stanton or just seeing Giancarlo in the lineup, I think there's a lot of red flags. You know, Judge is slow to start this season. That's very concerning. Gleyber Torres has had all kinds of struggles, not just with the bat, but with his glove as well. So, you know, long term, like if you're looking towards October with this team, which has to be where you're looking, you got to wonder if this team is going to hit when it comes to October.
One thing is really positive. Juan Soto, the man is unconscious, and we will have the biggest bidding war between the two local teams that we've ever had.
Steve Cohen wants him. Steve Cohen wants him, and why not?
It really will be a story going forward.
Whether it's your first or your
56. Couldn't think of doing anything better on opening day.
I think this is the year, 28. A lot of heartbreaks, but I feel like they're going to get it done this year.
It feels like summer's right around the corner. Baseball, kind of time with the family, barbecuing, hanging out.
This is a free victory cigar. We have the best opening day record of any baseball team in the MLB.
The old Subway Series rivalry, Mets versus Yankees, two teams battling it out to win the love of New Yorkers. So what better way to understand the mindset of both fan bases than chatting with New York City mega fans and comedians? First, we visited the reimagined Rodney's on the Upper East Side, the oldest comedy club in the U.S.
I'm sure you went to Citi Field, Yankee Stadium. Talk to me about your favorite memory.
You want to go first? Do you have many good memories? I used to go to Old Timers Day. My family would go every single year. So then it becomes this story thing of my dad going, that's the I used to watch.
But I did get the chance to go to the Mets World Series game. I got a ticket when they beat the Royals, the actual one game that they won.
Then we looked more in-house with our late night team.
For nothing. There's more dirt on Sal's Mets cap than there is on the mound at Citi Field. Sal, you don't need to pretend you're something you're not. Just be yourself.
Really? But that's just a guy who's super angry about the Mets all the time.
Yeah, but aren't they good this year?
For now.
But the roster's pretty strong though.
They're gonna it up, Seth! In that case, it's time for the genteel perspective. Meet the Mets. I have been devoted to the team my whole life. I did not cry at my wedding, but I have cried multiple times over the New York Mets.
So talk to me about the stadium experience, the game experience. Have you been to both stadiums for Yankees and Mets?
I have been to both stadiums. I think both stadiums are great, but I love Citi Field. The same thing that happens on the streets of Brooklyn happens in the stands. You just talk, other Mets fans want to talk to each other. Last I looked, you can get alcohol by the bucket at Citi Field, which is an amazing thing, but only the Mets would have to give you alcohol by the bucket.
This is how bad Yankee Stadium cuisine is. They've made a post that they're adding Mr. Softy ice cream to the thing, and it went viral. People were like, let's go. That's how bad the options are, because the options were pretty much chicken tenders and garlic French fries for the last 10 years.
I think Yankee Stadium is just so easy to get to. You just hop off the train, you're right at the stadium. Yankee Stadium beats it on commute, I think, for sure.
And talk to me about Mr. Met.
Mr. Met is the greatest mascot of all time, is the single greatest sports mascot that exists anywhere, and I'll tell you why. Because he is a sentient baseball, and a baseball only exists to get hit or thrown. This is a thing that only experiences pain. He is the perfect avatar for Mets fans.
His head's a baseball, he looks like a balding guy, kind of a sad sack, and it kind of represents the Mets really well, sort of.
The Yankees, I can never see them having a mascot because it's just, we're so corporate that it's like if we had a mascot, it would be Mr. Roth IRA or something like that.
Funny enough, the Yankees actually had a mascot called Dandy, the mascot, and they took it down after 1 or 2 seasons. He kind of looked like a gruff guy that fell out of a dumpster. It didn't really catch on.
The Mets have unveiled a new dance crew called the Queen's Crew.
I think it's great. I think that's awesome. I think there should be as much entertainment as possible. I don't know if the Yankees have a dance crew or not. It's such a prestige enterprise. It's such a prestigious experience to be at. It's a cathedral. Mets game, you got fireworks, you got the apple, you got dancing, you got Mr. Met flipping the bird. It's like everything's happening there.
I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a chance. I mean, I think Mr. Met was a lot.
Do you believe that there's this Subway Series rivalry?
I'm interested to see what you think about this because there obviously is a Subway Series, we want to do it, but I don't have any ill will towards Mets fans because I grew up in a winning, I grew up in the 90s watching the Yankees win.
See, that's the typical Yankee fan response. It's there's no reason to have a competition. We're better than you. So,
and New York loves baseball. It's fun to see the whole city come together and focus on the same thing at once. So I love the Subway Series. It's painful for me, but I love it.
Whether you take the 4, D, or 7 train to the stadium, one thing's for certain. The New York fan is true to heart. For NBC New York, I'm Linda Gaudino.
That tension during the Subway Series is a real thing, but you know what? No one can say the Mets and the Yankees aren't some of the most passionate fans in the sport. And all that passion works up an appetite. So let's get into new food at the stadiums this year. You've got more options than beer and hot dogs at the stadiums this year. There are a lot of new food spots and returning faves. Here's a roundup of some of the standouts. We'll start with Citi Field. For the second year in a row, it's been recognized by USA Today as the MLB stadium with the best food. And it's easy to see why. There's a fix here for all cravings. On Celebrity Row, you have Adam Richman's Burger Hall of Fame serving up a French onion burger.
Look, I'm a native New Yorker. I grew up, my dad, my grandma, massive Met fan. So in any way, seeing my family name associated with a place that like I've been coming to for like birthday parties since I was a kid is insane.
And Burrell with Italian American eats like a garlic bread chicken parm hero. And a Flushing staple, Korean fried chicken from Solberg. To highlight local cuisine from the borough, Citi Field will have 3 restaurants on rotation.
We've got Taste of Queens, where we're working with small market businesses and trying to rejuvenate the city still, even yet after COVID, and bring back some of those businesses and get their word out there.
We're very small local family business, and this means a lot to us to showcase this in front of everybody.
We're going to be serving our New York City famous Cubano sandwich and our famous Cuban nachos, the roast pork, plantain chips, and our famous flamingo sauce. As a New York City kid, it makes me extremely proud to be here at Citi Field, representing our restaurant and our good food.
What was the selection process like for you?
Truthfully, didn't think it was going to happen. Truthfully. I mean, you're like with mom and pop in a story. So we were like, they want us? Okay, you know, crossing the fingers, and then it happened. And it's like the sky opened up and the sun came out and angels sang, and it meant a great deal to us.
Now heading uptown, Chef Christian Petroni, a Bronx native and the winner of Next Food Network star, will be introducing his cheesy garlic bread with meatballs and 8-hour marinara sauce, a family recipe.
Fried meatballs that entered the chat, my friend. So these are my signature garlic bread. We started here at the stadium last year. We have a couple of concessions where I get my semolina pastone from my favorite bakery in the Bronx. I just grew up down the street. Tons of garlic butter, melty ooey gooey mozzarella cheese, Parmigiano Reggiano, Sicilian oregano. So we already know that, right? But then this year, I have the honor of adding a fried meatball the way my mom would make them.
Also new, Mighty Quinn's Chipotle Barbecue Chicken Sandwich. The chefs at Yankee Stadium have been cooking up too. Their popular 99 burger making a return this year, as well as their popular milkshakes and a carne asada bowl if you're looking for some Latin flavor. Tag us on IG and let us know what you try this season.
Cool breeze, the sun is shining. It's a beautiful day for baseball, folks. And I'm at Met Stadium checking out a new addition for the game called the Queen's Crew. What is the Queen's Crew?
So the Queen's Crew was only just developed in January. We had an audition, about 250 or so people came out, mainly freestylers, choreographed dancers, so many different styles came out. We were looking for hip hop based and co-ed, which is even better. And we ended up with 19. There's about 10 dancers per game. We go on rotation, sometimes there's more. You know, so we kind of just are having fun with that, and we're in the molding stages of the whole entire project right now. We rehearse 1 day a week, and magic just happens.
For the first time in New York baseball history, the Mets have a new dance team, serving the hype and flavor of the city only New Yorkers can bring. The Queen's Crew is all about fan engagement, along with 2 mascots, a t-shirt cannon, home run fireworks, a new MC, and LED lights. Adding a next level of entertainment for the Mets fan experience, says the Mets leader of brand marketing.
At the end of the day, just like the NFL and the NBA, we're all trying to fill space in between live action. This seemed like an obvious opportunity, and we wanted to create something that was really going to bridge generations.
Not only just Queens, but New York in general, we are the melting pot of even dance. So the beauty of this team is it's so different from so many other sports teams where usually you're auditioning and you know the exact style they're doing and, you know, very precise and military and like one style, and we can't go outside that box. We're able to like scream outside that box and perform outside of that box.
Other MLB teams have previously introduced dance squads, including the Braves and Astros. Dancing to the beats of the 80s, 90s, hip-hop, and today, the Mets hope this fresh addition keeps the fans wanting more.
It's a hype team for the Mets on top of everything else that you guys bring. I'm curious, do you have anything else in the works or new experiences that the fans can get excited about?
So this was a big one in addition to the new LED lights that you see that we've debuted over the last couple of weeks. We now have to kind of think about, okay, how do we continue to evolve?
At Citi Field, I'm Linda Gaudino, News 4 New York.
And that right there gets you excited. But you know what? There's a lot of action that goes on behind the scenes too. If you've ever wondered who keeps the players looking sharp, take a look.
A relationship bound by loyalty and trust, a sacred practice that spans ages, a safe haven for many. We're talking about the relationship between a man and his barber, and fewer people have touched more famous heads than Jose Jordan Lopez. Jordan has become the exclusive barber for some of the biggest names in baseball: Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Torrey, Lindor, Severino. A master in neutrality, Jordan cuts players from both the Yankees and Mets.
My first baseball player is Luis Castillo for the Florida Marlins.
Inspired by his mother and his love for baseball, Jordan opened up his first barbershop in 1988. His relationship with the players is so close, they've even flown him out for a cut.
Manny Machado, he called me day before, like he wanted to fly to San Diego because it's a special day, because it's his birthday.
As far as what makes him so special,
Primero por el recorte, después confían en mí y creo que me tratan como familia.
And family's an understatement. Jordan was once given a $7,000 tip. He's also been gifted a Range Rover.
I love what I do, and when he paid me, that's my...
Aside from the two barbershops he owns, one uptown and one in the Bronx, Jordan also opened up a juice bar and sports bar, Legacy, so he could have a place to hang out with the guys.
Oye, ¿qué es lo que más te gusta cuando tú vienes aquí a comer? Los mofonguitos.
As far as personal tea about the players, you won't hear much on this call and from Jordan. After all, what makes him a favorite is the trust he's been able to build up with these stars. What happens in the barbershop stays in the barbershop.
Pete Alonso, Mike Piazza.
It's the secret behind the biggest names in the game.
Aaron Judge's jersey, Garrett Cole.
A noisy shop in Queens called Stitches where, you guessed it,
we do the uniforms for the New York Mets, the Yankees, and the New York Islanders. How many shirts is it going to be?
40 jerseys.
Owner Russ Gompers oversees a team of pros who sew on the names, numbers, and patches for these pros.
They're actually wearing these shirts right on the field. I can say, for real, that I'm a Met fan and a Yankee fan, because I do their work.
Russ also roots for the countless colleges, high schools, and Little League teams that also use Stitches services.
Here inside the embroidery room, these machines can do more than 1,000 stitches a minute. But it's back here where everything comes together.
This is where the uniforms get done. When the Mets had Pedro Martinez, he wanted his arm free and clear to pitch. So we always had to sew in an extra piece under his arm so it wasn't tight when he threw.
Not bad for a lifelong New Yorker who grew up steps away from Shea Stadium, where he'd often go to Mets games with his dad.
Me and my dad were like this.
Just weeks before the 1986 World Series, Russ's father died of a heart attack.
So in Game 6, when the Mets were losing, the Red Sox, with 2 outs, I swear to you, on my grandkids, I looked up at the sky and I said, come on, Dad, one more time, me and you. In my mind, I had something to do with that World Series win.
Now, his win is his business. That's entering its 33rd year and a busy season, cranking out 200 shirts a day.
And that needle's going up and down 80,000 times to make that one logo. And these are for Eddie Post for his jacket for tomorrow.
Sure, it's a lot of work, but for this fan of the game,
hot dogs, beer, and soda, you know.
It's always worth it. For Today New York, I'm Kay Ingram.
We worked very hard in the offseason to create some promotions and special identities for this coming season to kind of promote the game of baseball to our fans in Central New Jersey. But we introduced the Jersey Diners, which was accepted nationally. We actually had an order come in from every state in the country for a Jersey Diners jersey or hat. So that was pretty special. New Jersey is very, very well known for diners. The diners originated in New Jersey. You could probably go to any town in New Jersey and find 3 or 4 great diners. So we kind of came up with the idea of Jersey Diners to celebrate diners in our region. And diners actually correlate a lot with what we do. I mean, diners are community based. The customers of diners are much like fans of diners. They love the staff at the diners. They love the food, obviously, and the whole community aspect of kind of a gathering place to see your friends. Our first diner night is June 8th. So on Jersey Diner nights, we're going to have diner-based foods. So we're going to have the Happy Waitress, which is delicious. It's toasted butter toast, bacon, cheese, and tomato, and it's very good. We're actually going to have an authentic Jersey Diner booth on the concourse where fans can sit and enjoy a meal, diner coffee. So the environment is going to be very diner-based, kind of like the old school kind of music being played that you might hear, kind of a throwback into like the 50s and 60s where diners really originated and exploded in the region. So there's going to be a lot of going on those particular nights to celebrate diners.
Now that we know what to look forward to, let's take a look back at some of the history of New York City baseball.
Baseball is back. Season after season, enthusiastic baseball fans cheer on their favorite team as the game continues to captivate millions.
Not only is baseball known as America's pastime, its ties to New York and the tri-state area run deep.
Baseball is a little bit unique. It's a little special because it started so long ago, and this country really grew up alongside the sport, and baseball grew up alongside this country. So in a way, it's impossible to tell the story of this country growing from the 1800s through the last century and into this century without talking about what was happening in baseball and on the field. Similarly, the stories that we tell here at this museum, they cross over from what's on the field to moments that impact society, whether we're talking about the Negro leagues and black ball players' opportunities leading into Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier, all the way through cultural diversity, opportunities for women in baseball. These are all stories that resonate, and they resonate so strongly because this country has a unique connection to the sport that goes back to its deepest roots.
Cooperstown, a village in New York, has become synonymous with baseball, housing the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. But did you ever wonder how this quaint village became a baseball hub? Enter Spalding. At the start of the 20th century, A.G. Spalding, a sporting goods magnate and former player, established the Spalding Commission to investigate baseball's origins. Years later, they apparently got their answer. A mining engineer by the name of Abner Graves said that another fellow Abner Doubleday, a decorated Union Army officer, invented the game in Cooperstown in 1839. Apparently, that's all the commission needed to hear, and the investigation into the origins of the game concluded in 1907. Decades later, the idea to establish the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown came up. The inaugural class in 1936 included Ty Cobb, Walter Johnson, Christy Mathewson, Babe Ruth, and Honus Wagner. 3 years later, the actual Hall of Fame building opened its doors. And there you have it, the history of baseball and its connections to the tri-state area. Well, not exactly. That story that I just told you is now known as the Doubleday myth, because it's just that, a myth.
Nobody really thought he did, even on the commission that gave him credit for it. The head of the commission was the former president of the National League, and he had been Doubleday's best friend for 20 years, and he had to admit Doubleday never mentioned baseball to him. But that gentleman, A.G. Mills, justified them choosing Doubleday as saying, like, well, Cooperstown is just a charming, wonderful, all-American town.
So why did the commission end up choosing Doubleday and by extension Cooperstown as the inventor and birthplace of baseball?
This was mostly an attempt to get baseball out of the grip of the dirty, multi-ethnic, corrupt city where we were very reluctant to credit for the sport. We wanted to sort of have it be that it was little boys playing in a cow pasture somewhere. No, the place where you could readily get 18 people together for a game was the city, and particularly the big bad city of New York.
Remnants of bygone baseball eras are still present right here in the tri-state area. If you head uptown, you will come across the John T. Brush Stairway. Brush was the owner of the New York Giants baseball team, and the stairs are what remain of the Polo Grounds, a series of stadiums that once housed several baseball teams, including the New York Yankees, the New York Mets, and the New York Giants, until the latter moved to San Francisco following the 1957 season. In 1964, the Polo Grounds was demolished after the three teams moved. Across the Hudson in New Jersey, Hoboken hosted the first recorded baseball game played with modern rules in 1846. That game took place in what was known as Elysian Fields. Today, a painted home plate marks the spot in this busy intersection. There are also a number of different museums that honor baseball and its legends. New Jersey is home to the Yogi Berra Museum and Learning Center, a museum on the Montclair State University campus that honors the career of Hall of Famer Yogi Berra, who played for both the New York Yankees and the New York Mets. Another museum in northern New Jersey is Hinchliffe Stadium. Hinchliffe, located in Paterson, is a national landmark and one of only a handful of stadiums still standing from the Negro League baseball era of the mid-20th century. Heading back to New York City, another museum showcases the ties that the city has to baseball, as well as the civil rights movement. The Jackie Robinson Museum and Educational Center, which opened in 2022 in downtown Manhattan, honors the legacy of the great Jackie Robinson, who broke the color barrier when he started at first base for the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947. Now, these are just some of the places that highlight the history and the legends of baseball in the tri-state area. Be sure to stay tuned for more.
And with the snip of a red ribbon, the history of this stadium was back to life, a museum chronicling the stories that had gone untold for generations of the Negro League players, their athleticism and their activism, greats who played on this very field, Monty Irvin, Buck Leonard, Pop Lloyd, and Paterson's own Larry Doby, who broke the color barrier in the American League just 11 weeks after Jackie Robinson did so in the majors in 1947.
He was my hero. I hope it'll be these kids' heroes, and we pass it on. And the history must be told. We're not ignorant. You know, part of racism is ignorance. So if we can, as Larry Doby said, study your history.
I didn't know anything about the Negro League baseball teams, and I went to Tech, and I passed by here every day to go to school.
Now everyone can learn about the contributions they made to the sport and to the country, thanks in large part to Paterson native and Montclair University alum Chuck J. Muth, who donated $5 million to the museum that bears his name in a partnership with Montclair State University.
Montclair State University will help generate new generations of students and kids, and people of all people, in fact, discover the full history of Hinchcliffe Stadium.
John Briggs came into the league with the Milwaukee Brewers. His uniform and bat now behind the glass case here at the new Charles J. Muth Museum at Hinchcliffe, dedicated to those players who were not household names, even in the city where they played.
I also am in the Milwaukee Brewers Wall of Fame, but this means a lot more to me.
Keith McPherson is a host on WFAN Sports Radio.
They tried to keep the stories down, like they tried to not talk about it. And you got to talk about these stories. You got to talk about the history so you know how we got to where we are today.
So Patterson now home to the second Negro Leagues Museum, the first one being out in Kansas City. This one not yet open to the public, only by appointment, but they hope to have it in full swing by mid-May.
Opening up this civil rights museum, because it is a civil rights museum, it keeps Patterson in the win column.
1, 2, 3, you're out at the old baseball ball game.
Pat Battle, News 4, New York.
There you have it. But the action doesn't stop here. Catch us wherever you watch NBC New York for the latest in baseball. I'm Asha Chaparro. See you at the games.